Hello, I am Daniel Clark, and I am here today to contest the idea that software engineers work in dark rooms all day, and that other types of engineers, like mechanical engineers or civil engineers, they think that all software engineers do is just work in a dark room with no light, no windows, and they also have a bunch of other stereotypes that I'll get into in this video. And the idea for this video came from a friend. Let's call him Jim. I'm not gonna say his real name, but he's an industrial slash mechanical engineer, and he has this idea that software engineers will just spend all their days in dark rooms looking at dark lines of code, and that's all they do. And that's one of the reasons why he didn't want to become a software engineer. And I'm here to tell you why that's not the case. So the same engineer believes that software engineers also aren't real engineers because of this, since they don't use their hands to build physical stuff. I think he's joking sometimes when he says it, but there's also probably some truth to why he thinks that software engineers aren't real engineers. So I'm here to break these illusions and to show you why software engineers are real engineers. As a current remote software engineer myself, I do find myself working outside sometimes in the sunlight. So that contradicts the claim that all software engineers work in dark rooms. So end the video. No, I'm just kidding. Like if the weather permits, yeah, I'll work on my patio and just bring my laptop out there and just do some coding if the weather permits. But over the winter here in Northern Virginia, it hasn't been that great enough, or the weather hasn't been great enough for me to go outside. But more recently, it has been because it's getting warmer here. It's March, and the whole winter I couldn't go outside. So yeah, I guess you can say I've been in a room, but my blinds have always been open, so not a dark room. So even when I was working in the office, I was working next to a window with the blinds open and open with I saw a nice view. I was on the 13th floor of Reston, so it's not always about dark rooms. Sometimes it's about the scenery. Though I will admit that some colleagues would like darker rooms. And it's because if they had the blinds open, because they were kind of facing near the window, if they had blinds open, they would kind of hurt their eyes, and they didn't want that. And also, it would get hot in the summer, so I kind of closed my blinds for that. But those are the only real reasons why people would have their blinds closed. Now I want to move on to why people believe software engineering isn't real engineering. And it's because normal engineers, think of civil, industrial, chemical engineers, they require their engineers in most states, to keep up with engineering standards and to pass state certified exams and to get mentorships and stuff like that. However, you don't need those kind of things with normal software engineering. So for example, you need to pass a state certified engineering test back when I was in Florida to become an engineer in Florida, to work as an engineer. So the reason why it had to be so regulated, or at least has to be regulated so much with normal engineering, is because people's lives are at stake. Because if something breaks, then it could potentially kill them. If your roof crashes on you or your bridge breaks, then that's definitely lives are at stake there, and costs a lot of money, more than just a little bug in some software. So think of an engineer building a bridge as an example. You want that engineer to be certified and regulate how how the certification works and how the engineer builds the bridge, because you want to know that what they're doing is good and that they know what they're doing. This is not, however, to say that software engineers don't actually do important things as well. They might not be building bridges, but they're building data bridges. And what I mean by data bridges is there have been a large number of data breaches that have been happening recently, and it's because of they're not securing their data properly, whether it be a cloud provider or I guess they're having their data stored in other places. But you kind of can think of Capital One, for example, last year in 2019, where so much of their data was breached. So I think for Capital One exactly, I believe that their data was breached because they configured a bucket incorrectly or something like that, or they didn't encrypt something, or something along those lines, and it's just easy as that, and someone can steal hundreds of millions of data. So that's definitely important as well, even on par with building bridges that could be falling as well. So a question you might have then is, why isn't there more regulation and certifications required for these software engineers that hold and take care of such important data, like the Capital One data, for example? And they should, like, the claim would be that they should be more regulated in what they do and be more certified so that they know what they're doing and all of their data is secured properly. And my response to that is that it's just data at the end of the day. It's not like life or death. If someone has their data stolen, yeah, it definitely could mean like the credit cards get stolen, people could take out loans in your name and stuff like that. But it's not life or death, so it's not going to hurt anyone, so that's probably why it's not regulated as much. Another possible reason is that there's such a high demand for these software engineers to, I guess, use all this data and to build all these infrastructure that will use this data, that if there was more regulation on it, there would probably be there would be more job shortages. Or yeah, there wouldn't be more job shortages because people wouldn't have all those regulations required to get the job, and so not many people would work at the job. So another reason why software engineering is so different than like some physical engineering, like civil engineering, is because the deadlines for software engineering can oftentimes be much shorter than the deadlines for something like civil engineering, where you have to build a bridge or like a big apartment complex or something like that. So, for example, people want like their app built as quickly as possible with software engineering, like 6 months or less. If it's not done in 6 months or less, then people are going to get fired or something like that. But if you want a bridge built, then like if it's done in 6 months, cool. But like if the deadline passed, then they're probably thinking, oh, as long as it's safe, we're fine with it. And so that's why there's a little bit of a difference there. Another reason why potential other engineers might be making fun of software engineers as not being a real engineering thing is they could be jealous. They're jealous of a bunch of things that software engineers have that mechanical or civil engineers do not. They see all the money that the software engineers make that the mechanical and civil engineers do not make, and the software engineers do it with so much ease that they say, why can't I have that? And some of them might transfer over because it's easier in some cases than what the tedious work might be with some other engineering disciplines. And with those other disciplines as well, there's also a lot of great pressure on them to have their work be safe and fill all the regulations. And if they're making much less on average than the people that don't have all this pressure on them, well, there is sometimes a lot of pressure in software engineering as well. It's not like life or death pressure. So there's also these engineers that could be doing tedious work that feel like doesn't really matter in the end. Like they could go through the whole engineering school, do all this crazy math, and then at the end of the day, they're just working with Excel spreadsheets. No offense if that's what you're doing. But this mind-numbing work sometimes that other engineering disciplines could kind of suck all the creativity out of them. And software engineering, you do get a lot of creativity. And that's probably one of the reasons why the field is so popular, is because you get to design and code your own application. Yeah, sure, there's bad ways to code, but there's also many good ways to code. So these other engineers are also jealous that these software engineers get their jobs without the degree in software engineering or computer science. They sometimes get it with liberal arts degrees, sometimes non-technical degrees at all. Or sometimes they don't even need a degree to get a job in a lot of companies nowadays, actually. So they're jealous because they had to go through this really difficult engineering curriculum. Because my friend, he's been many, many years in this engineering curriculum where it's a lot of difficult work. And at the end of the day, he probably won't use all of that, but he needs it to get the job. He needs that industrial mechanical engineering degree to get that job. So this, of course, makes you regret the decision that you majored in that specific field of engineering. So overall, this video wasn't to hate on the idea of software engineering versus other engineering disciplines. Like, I agree that engineering, no matter what kind, is highly respected in my eyes and in many other eyes, and sought after as a good career for the future and for a long time. Anyways, thanks for watching this video. Hope you liked it. Subscribe if you would like. Thanks. Peace.